Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here for TMYK Live. Thank you to the folks at StreamYard for allowing us their technology, which is having us broadcast here to you folks on Facebook. You might be watching us on Twitter. You may be checking us out later on our YouTube page. We appreciate that. And welcome to another edition of Balls and Brew, the flagship sports podcast here on the Morgan Podcasting Network. That's what TMYK stands for. I'm your host. My name is Rod Morgan. Joining me is the executive producer of this and every other podcast here on the network, including host of the very popular wrestling show on this network. Yeah, we know, In the Ring with Jimmy, Rod, and Chris. It's Jimmy Jamriska. Jimmy, hello.
Rod, I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited not to host for a minute. This is kind of fun.
That's right. We kind of been slacking on Balls and Brew a little bit because we had to lean on Jimmy heavy for basketball. We may do an actual quick, real fast break check-in at the end of this podcast. But first, I must bring in the third member of our trio, our guy who once joined us from North Carolina, but now he is back here in the Hoosier State, making this a proud Hoosier State podcast. It's our guy, the old man, Chris King.
It is a proud Hoosier State podcast until I decide to up and leave again, like I have been known to do.
That is very true. Chris could be broadcasting this from Butte, Montana before we all know it. But I think he might still have a bench warrant there. So it probably won't be Butte, Montana, but it could be somewhere out in the Old West. All right. We will be bringing back our football handicapper, Josh Williams, the man who you listen to on this network for great handicapping football advice. He will be coming on soon. We'll start doing some breakdowns of the NFL season. We'll start getting some fantasy nuggets out, some things like that for you. Twisters, the movie, opening up in movies this Friday. Am I going to talk to you about Twisters? No, this is a sports podcast. The following week, the Olympics open. We're going to talk a little bit Olympics on this podcast, but first, we're going to celebrate something that is happening right now, gentlemen. I have received quite a bit of guff over the last couple of years for straying away from the game of Major League Baseball. And tonight, Major League Baseball is having a celebration. It is their all-star game. It is the Midsummer Classic. It is something that used to mean a great deal to me. And when I caught a whiff of the lineups the other day for the American and the National League, it really struck home with me. I know nothing about baseball. I know like 15% of who these people are. But the other two members of this podcast, they sometimes portray themselves as caring a little bit more about baseball and following baseball a little bit more. So, Jimmy, I've cooked up a baseball game about the first half of the Major League Baseball season here. Are you willing to participate?
Yes, let's go for sure.
Chris,
Exciting.
I know you like to paint yourself down there and get mad at me for not liking baseball anymore. Are you prepared to answer some questions about the first half of the baseball season that just occurred?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to lose this game probably. I will say, though, it's not so much baseball that I am upset with you not being a fan of. It's the Cubs that you have given up on that makes me most upset.
As I continue to always correct you, I'm still a fan of the Chicago Cubs. I just will not support them while Tom Ricketts is their owner. It's kind of a weird gray area that I live in there, but I wish no harm upon the Cubs. Wish no harm upon my Cub fan friends like you two gentlemen. The Cubs clock in at the All-Star break. Let's just start there. The Cubs clock in at the All-Star break at a smooth 47-51, fifth place in the NL Central. Jimmy, I believe we bought a big, expensive manager that was supposed to lead us to a better record. And if I'm not mistaken, that's similar to where the Cubs were last year without the expensive